Morning you guys. In this video I'm going to service and test a 3235 TDID Solex carb. It's actually quite a cool carb. According to my book, you found them on an Audi 100 and an Audi 80 which were 1.8cc engines, and it's actually a very cool carb. Let me show you guys. So here's the carby. At first glance there's nothing special to it, but my Weber test stand or build stand, and you can see it fits on there exactly. So the footprint is exactly the same as a 32, 36 or a 32 or a 38 Weber, and that's quite cool because you can put it, you can replace it with a Weber, or you can replace a Weber with this. Something else that I've noticed about this carby is those screws over there, and that actually holds the venturis in place, which is cool. Webers, downdraft Webers don't have that. Their auxiliary venturis always come loose. To me it's quite a cool carb. The butterfly body is separate from the carb, so I'm assuming back in the day, if ever that got worn, you could purchase another one and replace it. It's got a little electric heater on here to get the carby worn. You see, there's the other screw for that holds the auxiliary venturi in place. I think it's a cool carb. When I saw this in a stripper's yard, and I thought I'm gonna buy it and play with it and see what it does. So let's open it up and see what it looks like inside. With any carby that you, or anything that you work on, have a tub close by. Throw everything in the tub, and once you've put it together, the tub should be empty. If not, you've done something wrong somewhere, you've forgotten something. I would love to see what the inside of this carby looks like. Wow. Very interesting. Talking about a good carby. So I've put some fuel in the float bowl just to see if that diaphragm is still any good and if it's leaking and what have you. And to my surprise, it actually still works. Obviously there's a leak there, there's an O-ring there that I need to replace, but so far so good. It works. Diaphragm works. Unbelievable, right? So the O-ring literally just sits on there, and then it pushes into the hole like that. Job done. So the only thing that I've replaced was the O-ring on that accelerator pump shaft, if you want to call it that, and works a treat. So with these carbies, the way that the float is, when you pick up the float bowl, you see, that's what happens. The needle and seat and everything falls out every time when you do it. So what I do to put it in is I take a little cable tie and I put a cable tie across there like that, and I just hold it with my two fingers just to keep it in place. Now when I turn it upside down, it's not going to fall out, and I can carefully put that on, and my float is not going to drop to the bottom like that. And when I'm done, I just pull that out. See? Simple as that. So I was so impressed with the carby that I thought I'd test it on my van and see what it does. So I've managed to find a kit. I'm hoping it's going to be the right thing. It looks like it. This is for a 32 DIDA, and according to this, it's for BMW 316, 08 and 320. I'm just hoping it's going to be the same, because this, according to the Carby spec, this came of an Audi. But I'm assuming it's going to be the same. So I'm going to strip the Carby, open the packet, and see if anything will fit. So this is what's all in the kit. This I'm not too bothered about, because you can either make that or you can use the Weber one. It'll help you out. Then for the accelerator pump, they give you two types. That's the same as what came out of it. So I'm obviously going to put that in, but they also include that. It's obviously for other models. I've noticed that it's pretty much the same as a Weber one, but that shaft on the Weber is thicker than on here. You can clearly see that. So it's not going to fit into that little casing. So it won't work. But if you really cannot find a kit like this anyway, or you really cannot find the accelerator pump diaphragm like this, you can make a plan to use the Weber one. If you had to drill that out a little bit, but fortunately we've got a kit, so that's not necessary. Then you get a couple of O-rings. That's the O-ring that I've already replaced, and then they give you these gaskets. Those gaskets can be made, it's not a problem. And if you can't find that little diaphragm, that diaphragm works there. If you can't find that diaphragm, you can cut one out of a marine fuel pump diaphragm. They are big enough, and it's the same material, and it's fuel resistant. And then obviously they give you a needle and seat like this one. So with the needle and seats, this is the needle and seat that came in the kit. This is the needle and seat that came in the Carby. You can see this needle and seat at the bottom is a little bit taller than this one, and on top as well. So I must just see if that will have an impact on the float level. But this needle and seat is one that comes out of a VW Beetle carb. I've got it sitting right over here, and it looks like that will work if you can't find a kit like this. But I'll confirm if this one will work in the Carby. If it will, then this will be fine. We know this needle and seat is working because I started the vehicle with it. So, but let me have a look. So I've cleaned up the Carby. I think it came out very nice. And it's time to start assembling. So the first thing we're going to do is assemble the accelerator pump. First thing it goes in is that big old spring. Then obviously the diaphragm goes on, and then this housing has got to go on. It's a bit tricky to get it not to fold your diaphragm, and then you've got to get it all lined up and put the springs in. Again, not to pinch your little diaphragm. I never tighten all of them at the same time, so that you're sure that you don't damage your diaphragm. And then wiggle it in between, make sure it sits nice, pretty much like that. And then put the other two in, and that's the accelerator pump done. So as I said before, your auxiliary venturis is held in with that screw over there. I'm not going to take these apart. It came out very clean. And that's for the first choke and for the second choke. And on this Carby, the first choke has got a 24 venturi in, and it's got a 27 venturi in on the second choke. They are interchangeable. I don't have any spare ones. I'm not going to remove those. There's no point in me removing them. Accelerator pump, I've replaced that little O-ring, and we tested it that it was fine. I'll test it again before I assemble it. And in the front here, there's that little heater pad. I'm not going to use it, so I'm not going to test it, and I'm not going to remove it. But it's just FYI. And again, there's the screws with the lock nuts that hold the auxiliary venturis in place. I think it's very cool. So while we are on the side of the carby, I just want to check the idle jet. I've already cleaned it up, actually. But idle jet sits there. It gets air from there. It gets fuel from the main channel, and then it goes down to the idle mixture screw over there. I've already cleaned that out as well. Just take it out and put it back. I feel it needs to have an O-ring over there, so I'll choose the O-ring out of my box just now and just put it on. But I honestly feel it should have an O-ring over there. You do not get one in the kit that will fit there, but for safety I'm just going to put one there. It ran fine without it when I tested it just now, but yeah, I feel we just need to put one over there. And just a nice little nip. Idle speed screw sits over there. I've already taken it out. Not speed screw, apologies, mixture screw. I've already taken it out, turned it all the way in, and 2.5 turns out. So I just want to explain something in the float bowl. So that there is where the accelerator pump gets its fuel from. That's a main jet for the first choke, and a main jet for the second choke. And then there's a alternative little main jet over there. And that little main jet has got a little air jet at the top here. And both of them supply into the main circuit of the second choke. So for the second choke, there's the main jet. There's the air correction jet. But it's got two air correction jets. So it's got a calibrated bush, if you can call it, over there. And a calibrated bush over there. And then an air correction jet over there and an air correction jet over there. So the idea is, if you want to know the size of an air correction jet, you add that one and that one together for the first choke, and on the second choke you add that one and that one together, and that gives you your air jet. So when you run full throttle on your second choke, this also, that little jet there with that little air correction jet over there also comes into play for additional fuel. Something not so nice, and I've had it with some aftermarket kits in the past, where that little diaphragm is so skinny, the carby and the housing doesn't seal properly. So when you accelerate, it oozes out fuel everywhere. I'm just going to fix that, and how I'm going to do that, I'm going to cut this out and use this outside as an additional gasket for there and see if that works. So I've cut it out like that, and I've added it in there just to make up a bit of packing space, and now it's cool, it's not leaking anymore. Actually disappointing, but anyway, we now have an accelerator pump that works. I see with this diaphragm, there's an additional gasket. I don't know if it's for a different model. I'm going to open up there and have a look, see what's inside there. But I think if there was an additional gasket with the accelerator pump, you see this diaphragm looks much better. Much thicker than the one that I fitted. I think it would have helped. This is the one from that I use for the Webbers. See, it's also nice and thick, but this won't fit, that's too thick. Anyway, problem solved. Let's carry on with this. There's a proper little diaphragm in there. So I'm not quite sure if the idea is that we have to take this apart and then fit that little diaphragm and then assemble this again. I'm not going to do that this time around. I might explore that at a later stage. I actually just want to get my Carby running and see what it does. So I'm going to clean up all of this junk and just put it back together. Look at the condition of this. If it's okay, I'm just going to put it back together. The idea is to undo that little clip there and then replace the diaphragm. I'm not going to do it this time around. I'm not going to use the choke. I think if ever I'm going to do it, I'll do a proper video on it, because then we can also, if needed, replace these kind of diaphragms. You know, it's like over here. If you don't have the right diaphragm for this Carby, you can maybe buy one from a Weber and take it apart and make one work for yourself. But I'll make a separate video on that. I'm not gonna waste time on it here. So I'm just gonna put this together and then carry on with the rest of the Carby. So back to the needle and seats. I've put the washers on, and with the washers on, they're actually not that bad. I'm gonna put this one in, set the float level and see what it does. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna screw that in and tighten it up. Put the gasket on. While I'm here, you guys will see these Carbys has got these two pipes going into the float bowl. They're actually inside there. I'll try and show you. There's actually a little calibrated bush inside that little copper pipe, and on that side. And it's also for additional fuel at high revs. You'll see there they're pointing down into the airstream. I'll show you when it's the right way up. And that draws additional fuel through these two pipes into the mainstream of the air when you're at high revs. But I'll explain that just now. I'm just going to get this float done quickly. So I've put it in. It ties in with a 14 spanner, and I've decided to put this little clip back. It actually is supposed to help hold the float, that it doesn't fall down too much. And at least with this type, the needle and seat can't fall out. And the float level height, you just adjust it so that this is parallel with the bottom of the carb, with the top of the carb. So that and that line must be parallel, and then your float level is fine. So time to put this on. So there we go. I've already put the carb top on. Remember, when you put the carb top on, to do the cable tie thing with the float, because it keeps on falling down and it'll get stuck at the bottom of the float bowl. And then remember to put this little arm in. You can put it in afterwards, but make sure it's in the right position. These two, when you're at high revs and the vacuum drops, the vacuum now here inside the space here will be lower than atmospheric pressure. Then it will start drawing fuel through these two pipes to give you additional fuel. So it's like an enrichment system. Same with the two additional little jets that's inside there. It's an enrichment system. I'm not going to discuss the choke. I'm not going to connect the choke. I would love to put this on my van and see how it runs and record that and add it to this video. So I'm going to have to come up with a throttle link to make it work. Anyway, I think it came out beautiful. Solex Carby test run. Here we go. just for reference, here's my auto data book. Looks like that, quite an old one. And that there, I think, is my copy that I've just tested. And that one, no, that one there. And you can see it's from Audi 80 and Audi 100. Although the kit came from a BMW, I don't see any models that would represent that carby. But yeah, it's not to say that my book is accurate. Anyway, just for reference. How's that for performance, eh? Yeah, runs quite nice. Just it's a private road. It's not a public road, so there's no other people on the road when I do those tests. But I'm very impressed with the Solex. It can hold up to any 32, 36 Weber anytime. I'm actually very impressed with it. And yeah, if you get hold of a carb like that, or you have a carb like that and you want to replace it, use that to replace a Weber carb, no problem. Unfortunately, here on our part of the rock, we don't have spares available for them. I don't know where to get the jets or Venturis or anything like that, or that base at the bottom where the butterflies go through. If something goes wrong with that, I wouldn't know where to buy it. I don't think there's anybody here in southern Africa that keeps spares for that anymore, which is a pity. It's actually fantastic carb. I love it. In many ways, in my opinion, I think it's actually a better design than some of the Webers that we have. But anyway, that's my opinion, and I say that proudly. Anyway, guys, I hope that the video helps someone out there. Be safe. Have a lovely day.